Namaskaram, Vanakkam. How many schools do we have today? IKM. Where is IKM? Lovely. Ness, New Era, and Isayambalam. Fantastic. And the Gurukul students are on their way. Are they already here? Okay, they're on their way. Namaste. Let us begin with Sri Aurobindo's Gayatri Mantra. Would request all of you, if you can keep your eyes closed, keep your spine straight, and chant along with me. We'll all do it together. Om Tatsavitur Varam Rupam Jyotihi Parasya Dhimahi Yannaha Satyena Deepayet Satyena Deepayet Om Tatsavitur Varam Rupam Jyotihi Parasya Dhimahi Yannaha Satyena Deepayet Satyena Deepayet Om Tatsavitur Varam Rupam Jyotihi Parasya Dhimahi Yannaha Satyena Deepayet Satyena Deepayet Om Tatsavitur Varam Rupam Jyotihi Parasya Dhimahi Yannaha Satyena Deepayet Satyena Deepayet.
Namaste, Vanakkam, good morning, and bonjour. Welcome to the Auroville Literature Festival 2025. I'm Neil, and I have the honor of anchoring the first day. This festival will span the 4 official languages of Auroville: Sanskrit, Tamil, English, and French. We begin the first day with Sanskrit. In Sri Aurobindo's words, classical Sanskrit is perhaps the most remarkably finished and capable instrument of thought yet fashioned, lucid with the utmost possible clarity, precise to the farthest limit of precision, always compact, and yet its best sparing in its formation of phrase, but yet with all this, never poor or bare. There is no sacrifice of depth to lucidity, but rather a pregnant opulence of meaning, a capacity of high richness and beauty, a natural grandeur of sound and diction inherited from the ancient days. We gather here as seekers of timeless wisdom and students of an ancient language, the key to India's immense civilizational heritage, in the light of Sri Aurobindo and the Mother's vision of human evolution and India's spiritual renaissance. We begin now with chanting by Vidya Mandir from Auroville, an ancient practice that attunes our consciousness to the sacred.
Namaste. Welcome everyone again to this gathering. We will also begin with an invocation and then move into chanting a few shlokas from Gita. We request you to join us in this invocation. We are going to chant Anandamayi, Chaitanyamayi, Satyamayi, Parame. We will be chanting this 5 times, so please feel free to join us.
We will now chant a few verses from the Bhagavad Gita, the Dvitiyo Adhyaya, Sankhya Yoga, 2nd chapter. This is a stage where Shri Krishna is telling Arjuna to follow his Swadharma, but with a poise of a Sthita Prajna, to be in steadfast wisdom. And Arjuna is asking, how does a man who is, a Sthita Prajna, how does he look, how does he walk, how does he talk? And then Shri Krishna gives him some indicators. And I'm just reading one sentence from Sri Aurobindo's Essays on the Gita, where he says that it's very difficult to give any outward signals, but it's more of an inward poise. So Sri Aurobindo says that when the mind is drawn inward when acting outwardly, it is concentrated in self even when gazing out upon things. It is directed wholly to the divine, even when to the outward vision of others busy and preoccupied with the affairs of the world.
I would now like to invite all the dignitaries on stage to light the lamp. Our first speaker today is the Secretary of the Auroville Foundation, Dr. Jayanti S. Ravi. Dr. Jayanti Ravi, IAS, holds a master's degree in nuclear physics from the University of Madras, a master's in public administration from Harvard University, and a PhD in technology enhanced education. She is a scientist, civil servant, performing vocalist, author, administrator, and development practitioner. Most importantly, as the secretary of Auroville Foundation, she carries the sacred responsibility of stewarding Sri Aurobindo and the Mother's Dream. I invite her now for a special session on Sanskrit as a vehicle for national integration.
Namaste, Vanakkam. Since we are in Auroville, I'll also say bonjour. We're very happy today. It's a very, very special day. The beginning of the Auroville Lit Fest, as mentioned by Neil as well. Mother gave a lot of importance to all these 4 languages. So with utmost reverence, respect, we are trying to take this 2nd edition of the Auroville Lit Fest. The first edition too had all the 4 elements. Of course, they were distributed across time, but this time we have tried to make it all happen in a week. And from the coming year, we are planning that we will fix the date and time in advance so that it helps a lot of authors, some of the best contributors to these beautiful languages and those that are connected with Mother and Sri Aurobindo to be able to block their calendars in advance. Today being Safala Ekadashi, a very special day of fasting. This itself shows how the Bharatiya Sampradaya had so much of multi-dimensionality, and Safala Ekadashi is believed to be a day of fasting, but the fast, it is believed, will also be very, very fruitful both on this plane and the inner plane. And that is the synthesis that Sri Aurobindo really spoke about. Sanskrit as a vehicle for national and global renaissance. The mother, when she founded Auroville, she has gone on to say that Sanskrit ought to be the official language of India. And I see Selvaraj sitting there. When I visited the aspiration community and saw all the buildings that were first built there, I was given to understand that the first building that Mother built, while she gave emphasis to all the 4 languages, Tamil, French, Sanskrit, and English, the first brick and mortar building that she built there was the Sanskrit school building. So that shows and indicates the kind of reverence, importance she gave. So Sanskrit is not just a classical language. That is a label. There are so many labels and the truth gets lost in it. But it's actually a civilizational operating system, talking in today's language. It is something that encodes philosophy, science, geography, ethics, aesthetics, psychology, governance, inner development, all of it. I want to share this also as a personal experience. Nearly 12 to 13 years ago, I had the privilege of being able to actually sit with somebody who was a direct student of Sarvapalli Radhakrishnanji, who had done his PhD with him, somebody called Professor Sethu Raman. He's moved on now, but at that time he was in his mid-80s from Kerala, and his mission in life was to do the Navahnam of the Valmiki Ramayanam. So which means you take the whole Valmiki Ramayanam and in a bit of a structured way across a period of 9 days, you actually sing every bit of it, and the evenings he would also give little discourses. So when I actually took leave, you see, for us, we're also caught in our busy schedule of work, but this was something I felt Ramayana came home. Of course, we also have a privilege. My mother and father, we've been literally the privilege of having grown up in a home where all this has been a part of our daily routine, the food, the dal, bhat, that we eat, the rice and sambar that we eat. It's been almost like that. So we've had that privilege. But when I read this Valmiki Ramayana and did the Navahanam, I realized there was so much in it. For example, if you talk of distances, there is a full element of when Hanuman is trying to assess how far is Lanka. There is a whole thing about geographies. Which are the directions? Where would we have to go? What are the distances that we're talking about? Human psychology, there is so much. The Kaschit Sarga, where Sri Rama, the young Rama, is taught about governance. How is it to govern? How do you be a very patient, inclusive king, and yet who is firm and gets things done? So that way, Sanskrit and the literatures that it has bequeathed to us, it is extremely important in this context, and particularly at a time when the world, when the intellect is really worshipped, which merits it, we respect that, revere that, but then the intellect and science has a tendency to differentiate and distinguish, to really go deeper. So you have domains of knowledge which are very, very narrow, and we go deep into it. So today when there is an exponential explosion of knowledge, and what with the internet and all the AI and the complete jungle of knowledge which is there, and there is research into so many very, very specific nuanced areas, there is a need to really have integrative frameworks, and that is where this is very important. And most important, the relevance is also that Auroville, as we all know, is Usha Nagari, the city of consciousness. So Sanskrit actually offers a consciousness-based worldview where knowledge, values go together. Learning is inseparable from self-cultivation. Any learning, the beautiful Sthita Pragya, the chapters that today, the few shlokas from second chapter of the Gita that we read, it also says, so everything that we read, knowledge is basically also about self-cultivation, and progress is inseparable from harmony. Harmony not just without, but within. Although, the irony of it is oftentimes these epics are written right in the middle of a battle, in the middle of a war. So while you're in the middle of it, but how do I maintain that equipoise within and without, and do things that I have to do? Dharma is not short-changed. You have to follow the path of Satya and Dharma, but be doing it with a reverence, with that state of samatvam. And in that context, even if you look at Jnana and Mulya, Atma Sanyama Yoga, chapter 6 of the Gita also, it is in so many ways the basis of what Sri Aurobindo has taught and told us, that all life is yoga. So this chapter 6 of the Gita starts with a very bold statement, just to make a point, which I'm sure most of us know, but since there are students here, young people also who may not be exposed to this, it starts, Anashritah karma phalam karyam karma karoti yah sasanyasi cha yogi cha na niragnir na chakriyah. So in one stroke, the Lord tells us that it is not, He gives accessibility of each one of us, no matter what is our station in life, what is our situation, to actually become a sannyasi, a yogi. And that's what Sri Aurobindo says, all life is yoga. You might be in the middle of a great challenge, you might be in the calm comfort of your home, at rest, on a very nice bed, with all gratitude to it, all the comforts, or you might be in a very turbulent life situation. But all of it is about yoga. And he also then goes on in the Gita. This is just to say and bring out the richness of Sanskrit, its relevance even today. Why just even today? I think for times to come. Aru rukshor muner yogam karma karana muchyate. So it's not about leaving this and running away, right? Being in the thick of karma. So karma becomes the instrument of us getting on, the metaphor is getting on board or getting onto an aircraft or a horse called yoga. But to continue to be yoga rudha, just as we say ashva rudha, to be continuously in unison in yoga. Yoga rudhasya tasyaiva shamah karanam uchyate. It gives you all the necessary qualifications, conditions to do this. And therefore, we find that Sanskrit is perhaps the only language designed with the awareness of sound, meaning, and consciousness alignment. In recent times, I've also been reading the Maheshwara Suktam with my mother. And it talks of how there is a bridge between the cosmic vibrations and human language. The 14 verses, they talk about the 14 vowels and 33 consonants of the Sanskritam alphabets. Shabda, Artha, Chetana, how all of these go together. And this richness, with all humility, is not found in any other language. The whole world acknowledges this. And then, as we move further to Sanskrit and national renaissance, we're at a very, very important point of inflection. As they say in the language of mathematics, there's a maxima, there's a minima, those of us who have learned calculus, but there is also something called a point of inflection where it is a dy by dx is 0. But that point of inflection that India finds herself today is also something that the great yogi whose ideas are at the core of the foundation of the city, when he spoke about his 5 dreams, and the dream of India's spiritual gift to the entire world, and India eventually becoming a Vishwa Guru. And it's a very beautiful coincidence that we have students from the Veda Pathshala, which is located right here in the vicinity of Auroville and Pondicherry. In fact, it was only Sri Aurobindo and Swami Dayananda who were the first two who gave the true meaning of the Vedic, the secret of the Vedas. The rest of the interpretations, the Western scholars had spoken of this as some kind of, animals, sometimes even use the word, some kind of a barbaric civilization, talking of likening cows, light, all of that. But it is Sri Aurobindo and Swami Dayananda who actually talk of the hidden algebra, the symbolism of the metaphors, the symbols, the words used in Gita. And there again, we find that the resurgence of Bharat today, when there's so much of turbulence on the global stage, if we are able to hold our feet firm and go ahead, I think it's also a time for us, and which is what is happening, a kind of not only depend on economics or technology, which is where the whole world is drawing and trying to create an immense turbulence in our country, but it's also a place, a point in time, an inflection to go back and see what's our cultural confidence. Civilizational continuity. This is the only place, the cradle of civilization, where for time immemorial we've had a continuum of civilization, ethical imagination, and therefore Sanskrit is indeed India's unifying civilizational thread across regions and languages. If we even take Ramayana, the idea of the simple story of Sri Rama's Prayana, we see so many versions even across the length and breadth of India. We see the Champu Ramayana, of course the celebrated Valmiki Ramayana, Kritivasa Ramayana, Tulsi Ramayana, Bili Ramayana, Thai Ramayana, not just localized to what is present-day Bharat, but you had versions of Ramayana all across, and all of these originated in some ways not only from the life and the saga of the great king, who was the absolutely the embodiment of dharma, but also as it was captured in this language. And therefore, we also feel that the revival of this is not just some kind of linguistic nostalgia, but it is actually a revival of India's knowledge sovereignty. This is something that we cannot let go. This is there. Just because somebody takes the neem tree today and gets it patented and says, we've found it, but this is something that has existed. Similarly, the reconnection with our original models of education, governance, social harmony, all of it. And finally, there is also a need for a complete mindset change from just doing this as a sense of tokenism to actual integration. So I really want to deeply express my gratitude and appreciation to all the scholars who are here. Sampad Bhai, Sapadanand Mishra ji, who has been from the beginning somebody who has been deeply anchored in not only Sri Aurobindo and the mother, but in this beautiful language, Sanskrit. Again, she's not just a language, she's a way of life. So all of this, mixing it in the manner that is relevant for present day. We also have Sanskrita Bharati's great champion, RRG Mahadaya, right here. So we are very, very grateful to Bhavan for being here and guiding us, and all the dignitaries that we have. Pavitra ji also came up. She's made a commitment of Gita through Nrityam. So in this context, I think while we treat it as an optional subject in the present day paradigm, a ritual or a museum artifact, they say this is not a living language. I think we need to really move towards a shift, because as it is said, I would paraphrase it and say that basically knowledge of Sanskrit, it is not just about information, but what happens is anything that is learned, it actually shifts or moves the knower. So this has a unique character, property of actually changing. So it's not just an ignition of knowledge, but it actually changes something within the consciousness level of the person who is actually going through it. And in that context, for Lok Siksha, for Dharma, Loka Sangraha, for well-being, all of these Sanskrit becomes very important. So while there are many practical things that we are doing, today I want to end with something that has been decided by the governing board of Auroville perhaps about 2 years ago, and Sampad Bhai and an entire team with the blessings also of the Honorable Sage, the Pontiff, the Shankaracharya, Puja Shankaracharya of the Kanchi Matha, as well as blessings of the Tirumala Tirupati Devasthanam. We are in the process of setting up actually a Matra Vedic Sanstha in Auroville. And what I will request is those of the scholars who are here today, gathered here from different parts of India and the world, and also those of us who are not physically present here but are able to actually listen to us, hear us, because this is also all being uploaded on YouTube. It will be made available to people. From different constituencies, we need to come together and really try to get that wireframe of consciousness. How is it that the gist of what the Vedas gave, the secret of the Vedas, as Sri Aurobindo has said, how is it that that can become the basis of our entire systems of knowledge, work, governance, administration, all the domains, right from agriculture to science and technology, industry, all of it. How can we have that core of Sanatana Dharma, which is nothing in his Uttarpara speech. When we read Sri Aurobindo, he explains it with great clarity. What does it mean? It means realizing that there is a spark of that divinity within each one of us, everybody, everything, every living, non-living being, organism, and therefore there is nothing like the other. We're all one. And therefore, how can there be any irreverence or lack of respect for the other? So with immense respect, love, faith, if we offer this Matra Vedic Sanstha, we have to activate it. And the importance that Sri Aurobindo too gave, you all are not new to this. Circumstances made him take his birth in a family where there was a father at that point of time who hated anything that had even the shadow of India. So at a very tender age of 6, he was sent to England, and with a very clear instruction that nothing Indian or related to Indian culture will be even brought near him. But destiny and the divine, the supreme, has its own ways of doing things. When he returned back, he could have joined the Indian civil service, of which I'm a very proud I'm a present member of something that has been bequeathed to all of us by people like him, he actually cleared the Indian Civil Service but chose not to go for the horse riding exam, because at that time he had this very strong ethical rebellion in his mind that I will not go and work under a colonial power. But when he came to Baroda, and very recently a lot of us from Auroville had also come to Vadodara, we had a big national conference there. For about 13 years when he did his tapasya there, we know that with a vengeance, he learnt so much of Indian culture, Indian languages, including Sanskrit and Bhavani, Bharati, and even the explanation of Vande Mataram, although that was composed by Bankim Chandra, Bankim Babu as he's called, but the explanation and why really the Bahu Baladharini, the symbolic presence of Durga as Mother India, just as we say motherland, some countries say fatherland, that whole personification of Bharat as Bhavani Bharati also, it was Sri Aurobindo who did that. So in that context, I again want to wish the entire Lit Fest all the very best. We offer this very, very small, humble effort done by all of us collectively, the entire team. I want to place on record the efforts of a lot of people who have gone into it. The Chief Secretary of Pondicherry, the Ministry of Culture, which is funding this, the Government of India, our governing board members, and of course the entire team from Auroville, our foundation office team members, residents, working group members. You've all participated under the support of people who are championing this for different languages. And we offer all of this at the lotus feet of Mother and Sri Aurobindo, and hope that in the dissemination of what the world really needs, this aspiration for the highest aspiration, that no matter where, which geography, which race, which religion, which part of the world we come from, but all of us have this hunger for this highest aspiration. And with that full faith, sincerity and surrender to the divine, let us take this step forward. And I again want to welcome you all to this beautiful city of consciousness, and let's hope that the deliberations that happen over the next few days are very fruitful, and also that it culminates in the Vedic Matri Sanstha. It could be a small seed that is planted, and by June this year, let us plan to actually have the small sapling take a shape, and each one of you is welcomed to be a part of this in your own way, whichever way, because it takes all of us, it needs all our efforts to make this happen collectively. Pranam, Namaste, Namo Namaha, Vanakkam. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jayanti Ravi, for sharing your knowledge on the importance of Sanskrit to India's national integration and renaissance. We're joined now by students from the Gurukul who will offer us Vedic chanting. So I invite you on stage. आप सबका स्वागत है stage पे.
अथ अग्निसूक्तम् ॐ अग्निमीळे पुरोहितं यज्ञस्य देवमृत्विजम् होतारं रत्नधातमम् अग्निः पूर्वेभिरर्षभिरिड्यो नूतनैरुता स देवान् एह वक्षते अग्निना रैमश्नवत्पोषमेव दिवे दिवे यशसं वीरवत्तमम् अग्नेयं यज्ञमद्धरं विश्वतः परिभूरसि स यद्वेवेषु गच्छति अग्निर्होता कविक्रतो सत्यश्चित्रवस्तमः देवो देवेभिरागमत यदङ्गदाशु से त्वमग्ने भद्रं करिष्यसि तवेत्तत्सत्यमङ्गिरः उपत्वाग्ने दिवे दिवे दोषावस्तर्धिया वयं नमो भरन्त एमसि राजन्तमध्वराणां गोपामृतस्य दीदिविं वर्धमानं स्वेदमे स नः पितेव सो न वेग्ने सोपायनो भव स च स्वानः स्वस्तये ॐ
It is my honor now to introduce Dr. Sampadanand Mishra. Dr. Sampadanand Mishra is one of India's most distinguished scholars and teachers of Sanskrit. The only thing that matches his knowledge and expertise of Sanskrit is his love for it and his dedication to its preservation and propagation. A specialist in Sanskrit grammar, yoga, and Sri Aurobindo's philosophy, he was the associate editor of the 12-volume collected works of Vashishta Kavyakant Ganpati Muni, a work that preserves centuries of Sanskrit wisdom. He has been recognized with the prestigious Sri Aurobindo Puraskar in 2024, in addition to his earlier honors, the President's Maharishi Badrayan Vyas Samman in 2011 for his outstanding contributions to Sanskrit, and the Sahitya Academy Bal Puraskar for his children's literature in Sanskrit. Perhaps most significantly, Sampatji founded Divyavani, the world's first 24-hour Sanskrit radio channel. This initiative has carried the living voice of Sanskrit into homes and hearts across the globe as a living, breathing, sacred speech. Currently, Sampatji serves as the founding director of the Center for Human Sciences at Rishihood University, working to integrate Indic knowledge with contemporary education. His keynote this morning is the role of Sanskrit in Indian knowledge systems. This is not a historical question, but a contemporary one. How does Sanskrit allow us to access ways of knowing that modern science alone cannot reach, at least in English or European languages? How does Sanskrit preserve ecological wisdom, psychological insight, mathematical precision, and spiritual truth, all woven into the very fabric of the language? Sampatji will guide us into these depths. Please welcome Dr. Sampadanand Mishra.
Vayam suputra amrutasya nunam taveva karyarthamihopajatāh nishkama buddhyartha vipanna seva vibho tavaradhanamasmadiyam Prabho dehi dehe balam dhairyamantah sadacharam adarsha bhutam vicharam yadasmabhirangi kritam punyakaryam tavevashisha purnatam tat prayatu जीवने यावदादानं स्यात् प्रदानं ततोऽधिकम् इत्येषा प्रार्थनास्माकं भगवन् परिपूर्यताम् त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव देव सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ शान्ति 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 नमः सर्वेभ्यः this Sanskrit Lit Fest as a part of Auroville Lit Fest. In the beginning when it started with really competent dignitaries coming here and sharing their thoughts, their knowledge with regard to the language, its scientific nature, its role in building the nation, building character, and contributing substantially towards what Sri Aurobindo envisioned, what the mother envisioned, what many philosophers, many yogis, many national leaders envisioned, that we need nation building, character building, man making, education, without which for last 200 years we all have been suffering. If we need to make a change, if we look at the Vikasit Bharat Agenda 2047, so how the young minds of Bharat, how every conscious citizen of Bharat has to work towards it. So this is where Sanskrit, as Sri Aurobindo had categorically mentioned, the mother had mentioned, that has to play a very significant role. The mother said, I myself was inspired by one of her statements when she said, as every child born in France has to learn French, every child born in India must learn Sanskrit. If we can remember just this one line, every conscious citizen of Bharat remembers this statement and starts Sanskrit learning, teaching the Sanskrit environment at home. I even, like the mother has said, so much she has said about like how to bring up a child, how to give birth to a child. If the whole process, this conscious aspiration of connecting the child with the very soul of Bharat, it starts much before the child is born, it will be a beautiful Bharat. It is something towards this Sanskrit will play, has been playing, and will play a very important role, because the students are there. My approach to my keynote will be very different after some times, because I have to address to the need of the children, so then they understand, they carry some value. We started with the Gita chanting, and you know the importance of Gita in the national life of Bharat, and the role that it has been playing for centuries in shaping the human consciousness. We had, while Jayanti Raviji, she was giving her speech, she was narrating the stories of Ramayana. We had the Vedic chanting. There's a beautiful Subhashita which says, Vina Vedam, means without Veda, Vina Geetam, without the Gita, Vina Ramayanim Katham, and without the stories of Ramayana, Vina Kavim Kalidasam, and without the poet Kalidasa and his narrative, his poems, Bharatam Bharatam Nahi. Bharat is not Bharat. Even like you go to village, if someone is giving a speech, however marvelous the speech may be, if he has not quoted something from the Gita, something from Ramayana, something from Mahabharata, some quotes in Sanskrit, people say, what speech is this? There is nothing from Veda, nothing from Upanishad, nothing from Ramayana, Mahabharata, Gita. That whole, however significant the speech may be, people will not like. And if someone is just reciting few verses and giving quotations from Veda, Ramayana, Mahabharata, people will keep clapping. That's the importance of this language. Okay. Many beautiful stories. It's as, Neil was, while introducing me, spoke about it. Its scientificity, its flexibility, its logical nature. You all will have a workshop with Uday. He will explain you the scientific nature of the language, the very alphabet. There are so many things to learn. When I came first to Pondicherry, because my job is like wherever I am, I'll start teaching to some people some Sanskrit. Every day it has to happen that some new people are introduced to Sanskrit. If that is not done, then the good sleep will not come. Okay. With that passion, not me alone, there are many people like RRG is here, Ramchandra ji here, and many dedicated souls of Samskrita Bharati, Surabhasha Prachar Samiti, Vishwa Samskrita Sansthanam, many dedicated souls. Sarvabhauma Samskrita Sansthanam, there was Pandit Vasudeva Diveda Shastri. So his entire life was so dedicated to Sanskrit. His whole idea was Haste Khelte Sanskrit. Every aspect of Sanskrit he will turn to a verse or a song, rhyming song, and then start teaching. When he was given the President of India award, he was not willing to go from his home. His students carried him forcefully. But he got down in Kanpur and then came back. He said, I can't take any award or reward for what I have been doing. He didn't feel good. And that is the kind of sadhana, that is the kind of high-spirited soul who gave their entire life in promoting this language in the land of its own birth. That is the situation. So, the story that I wanted to tell you, that when I came here first, Pondicherry, and I started teaching some school children, some people, local people, they said, I'm talking about 30 years before. And that time, the Hindi movement and a lot of things were happening. People were not open to Sanskrit here, especially in the southern part. So people asked me, oh, it's very difficult language. There are no vocabularies in our language, especially the Tamil-speaking community. So we don't have many words. We are not familiar with many words. So I developed a methodology during that time. It's called the Nama Smarana methodology of learning Sanskrit. So I asked each one of them, like tomorrow you come with, in your notebook, mention the names of your friends, family members, relatives, or whomever you meet. As many names as you remember, just note it down. And suppose you have noted down 100 names of your friends, you have more than 120 Sanskrit vocabularies with you. Because you have remembered, you know that. Rajani Kanta. It's a pure Sanskrit name, and you get two words. Rajani, which means night. Kanta means someone who is loving. Okay, something which is shining. something which is shining at night. What shines at night? Moon. So Rajani Kanta, what will be the meaning? Moon. So you have Jaya Lalita. So you get two more words. Jaya, Jaya means victory. Jayam, you say Jayam na, in Tamil. And Lalita. Lalita is beautiful. Okay. So anyone who is beautiful, any woman who is beautiful is known as Lalita. Lalita Tripura Sundari. Right? So you have Karuna Nidhi. I'm consciously taking these names. Why? I'll explain you. Okay. So Karuna means Karunai. Karuna means compassion. Nidhi means treasure house. One who is a storehouse, treasure house of compassion. Right? Like this, if you take, say for example, if Karuna Nidhi, someone's name is Karuna Nidhi, which means treasure house of compassion, if the person knows the meaning and lives the truth behind it, the world will be different. Right? So, this Nama Smarana, that is why there is no civilization on the earth which has got Sahasranama concept. Vishnu Sahasranama, Lalita Sahasranama, Durga Sahasranama, Kali Sahasranama, Ganesha Sahasranama. 1,000 names. Why 1,000 names? Each name is signifying a truth, signifying a story behind. Every name has a story behind it. It's not just a name, not just something that has been given to you, that by that name people will call you. It's not that. That becomes the identity. Someone's name is, say, Veda. Someone's name is Shruti. And that person knows the real meaning of Veda, real meaning of Shruti, real meaning of Gita. So that is why the first lesson in my class, I ask everyone to understand the meaning of your name. And today also I am requesting, we all will be here for a few days celebrating this Lit Fest. Anyone who is sitting here, so by the end of this 2 days Sanskrit Lit Fest, you should be familiar with the meaning of your name, right? So tomorrow in the evening, if you all are here, I will ask every one of you, what is the meaning of your name? If you don't know, you go to internet. Of course, internet will give you very different meaning, but find out some guru, someone who knows, or we can have a small workshop understanding our own names. From that, we will start our journey of learning Sanskrit. And it's beautiful. And if you understand the meaning of your name, and then start living that truth, okay, then your life will be a very different life. Because Sanskrit always aspires to add beauty, add grace, add rhythm, add strength to every character, every living being who is consciously using this language. So this is one point. And if you look at the beautiful literature, starting from the Veda till date, and if you compare, so people say, are people writing in Sanskrit nowadays? Because it's an old language, archaic language, has no relevance. This is the kind of question people ask, especially the young minds, because they are fed in again and again that this is of no use. It's all archaic language. It has no relevance. It's a language which, oppressive language. Various kinds of things that you will hear. In one session, this I must share with you all. So there was a policy boot camp which is every year organized in Rishihood University. So around 150 young boys and girls below age 35, they had gathered. So they had asked me to conduct a session on language policy of Bharat. So I spoke about in general, the language policy, the importance of language and its connection with shaping characters, shaping our consciousness and nation building. When I came to Sanskrit, suddenly the whole ambience changed. There were many types of mindsets in the room, 150 young minds from all over Bharat. So one girl stood up and then said that Sanskrit, is it not an oppressive language, elite language, privileged language, and difficult also, like many people do not understand. It's used by the Brahmins, a specific community. So many questions as the left-oriented people keep asking these questions. So some right-wing young minds, they started shouting. I said, don't shout, listen to them, what they are saying. Another girl stood up, said, I support this. And see, Ramayana was written in Sanskrit. No one understood because it is meant for elite groups. So Tulsidas had to write it in regional language so then everyone can understand. So like this, one by one, 7, 8 girls only, no boys. So girls stood up and then spoke against it. So I have to answer and satisfy the other side people. So I said, okay, let's go by data. So what is the percentage of people speak English today in Bharat? So what is the percentage of people speak English in Bharat? Anyone from here? What percentage of people in Bharat are well acquainted with English? We have 1.4 crores people. So what is the percentage of people well acquainted with English? What is the data says? 10%. 10%. This is the official data. And actual data will be little less. So they say it is 8%, but 10 is well accepted. And what is the importance of English in everything that we do? Now also, like I am giving a lecture in English, which I am not supposed to because it is Sanskrit Lit Fest. What justice I am doing to Sanskrit? The whole session is moderated, spoken in English. Because now the purpose is not, so the situation is such that using a language with which many are familiar, just to create some interest about this language. So then there is no disrespect grows in others with regard to this language. There is too much disrespect which is growing. So 10% of entire Bharat is well acquainted with a language. And what is the importance of this language? All our documentations, all court cases, everything, you go to every documentation happens in English. So who are those people? Are they not elite? And what about the 90% people who are not familiar, well acquainted with this language? That means these 10% people have a complete hold on the 90% people. So who are the privileged one? Is it not an oppressive language, a privileged language, elite language? Why don't we announce today that English is an oppressive, privileged, elite language? Why Sanskrit? Because if I speak Sanskrit, you see what is the percentage of people familiar with, well acquainted with the vocabularies of Sanskrit? Every regional language has more than 60%. And if you go to Odia, Bangla, Marathi, 80% vocabularies are pure Sanskrit. So if we are using our own language, those 90% people are using their own language, they are familiar with Sanskrit. So the position of Sanskrit, because Sanskrit lives through every regional language. People say, no, it's a dead language. No. It lives, very vibrant life it lives through the regional languages. So that is why the importance the present government is giving, that every child must get education through the regional language. Every textbook is being translated now back to regional languages. So in next 10 years, the medical science education, the engineering education, everything is going to happen through the regional languages only. And there is a Vardha model. Like in Vardha, you have a Hindi, International Hindi University, entirely dedicated. It's a parliament mandate that every event, every subject, every documentation has to happen in that university through Hindi. And it's not a new model. The model is there ready with us. When people say, this time I gave stress on this Vardha model, I said we don't need to reinvent the wheel. It's already there, implemented. It's happening for so many years. There are 23 different subjects are being taught in that university, including engineering, computer science, through Hindi. Because it's a parliament mandate. And the professors who are appointed there without knowledge of Hindi, they will not be getting a job. So we already have a well implemented model of how the education can happen through regional language. And if you want to translate things from English to regional languages, the vocabularies, the technical words, scientific terms belonging to every subject, one has to rely on Sanskrit to generate the words, create the words. Because this word generation capacity is immense in Sanskrit. The transparent system of root sounds from which the words can be derived. There's no such language on the earth which has such a transparent and logical system of generating words. And once you are familiar with this, you can generate any number of words, any amount of words for use, whatever the challenges may be in life, whatever new experiences, new ideas, new subjects may appear in future, Sanskrit will not disappoint you. Here is a language which is ready, which is a future ready language, which is a language of readiness, language of awareness, language which can give strength to our national life. And if we ignore this, if we neglect this, which we all have been doing for so many years, and that is one of the major reasons of the decline of Bharatiyata. Okay. So we need to revive. So revival of Sanskrit today means the revival of that Bharatiyatva, where we have forgotten our swatva. Swatva means our ownness. So that swabodha, that swayam bodha, that atma bodha needs to be the prime important thing in our education, in our life, in the national life of Bharat. So that is why I started with this prayer, which right from the Vedic time, when the rest of the civilizations, the rest of the religions teach you that you are a sinner, here is the religion which teaches you, which gives us the real identity. What is that identity? It says, it doesn't call you by any name. It says, Vayam Suputra Amrutasya Nunam. That we are the children of Amruta. We are the children of Ananda. Amruta and Ananda and Soma, these are the three words used in the Veda in the same sense. The child of Ananda. So tomorrow we have very consciously designed this 2 days. We have one young person coming to conduct a workshop. He must attend it. So it's going to be entirely on Sri Aurobindo Upanishad. Another name of this Upanishad, because Sri Aurobindo didn't give any name. We are calling it as Sri Aurobindo Upanishad. Initially it was titled as Sri Aurobindo Prajnopanishad. The entire Upanishad is nothing but Ananda Mimamsa. It ends with this clarion call that arise, O Anandasya Putra. Arise and enjoy this world. Enjoy the Ananda that is ever existing in everything, every moment. So you all must participate and understand what is this Ananda Mimamsa and what is the significance of this Ananda. And that is what is our true identity. That we are the children of Ananda, and we must make sincere effort to manifest that Ananda in every aspect of life. That is the message of the Rishis. That is the message of the Rishi Parampara throughout, right from the beginning of our civilization. And we have forgotten that. Because we have forgotten that, we have forgotten our Swatva, and because we have forgotten our Swatva, there is no end to our suffering. There is only Tarati Shokam Atmavit. This is the sutra. Tarati Shokam Atmavit. One who is conscious of its own identity, ownness, never suffers. And one who never suffers doesn't wishes others also to suffer. Ma kaschit dukkham apnuyat. If you look at the messages, the content, the thought content expressed in every scripture, right? Veda, Upanishad, Gita, Ramayana, Mahabharata, Darshana, Shastra, there is no end to it. If you look at the thought content, every thought content, it elevates you. It helps you to rise above, not remain confined within the narrowness of your consciousness. So it always has spoken that the dukkham is in alpatva, in narrowness of consciousness. The sukham, the ananda, is in the vastness of consciousness. Yo vai bhuma tat sukham. Bhuma vai sukham. Nalpe sukham asti. So if any time we are affected by this alpatva, this narrowness, what should be our responsibility? What should be our duty? How do we come out of that? The entire message of the Gita is that Arjuna's problem was this narrowness of consciousness. Karpanya doshopahata svabhava. This karpanya dosha is the miserliness, this narrowness of consciousness. And Krishna widens, broadens, heightens the consciousness to such a level. Then he says that nashto moha smritir labdha karishye vachanam tava. That all moha nashta, because that's what happens when consciousness widens. And the whole purpose, this city of dawn, the city of a new consciousness, the message of new consciousness that Sri Aurobindo and the mother have given, transformation of consciousness, here is a powerful tool which facilitates the easy going of this process of transforming our consciousness at the individual level, at the collective level, at the national level, at the global level. So it's not a language which is confined to any particular community, it's a planetary language, it's a global language. It has its the purity of the vibration of the sound, the rhythm, the sonority, the intensity of the vibration. It reverberates in the entire galaxy. It has the power to change everything that is needed for the attainment of Ananda. That is what the rishis of the past realized by the power of their tapasya and expressed it through this language. And Sri Aurobindo also says the most profound and sublime experiences can be best expressed through this language. Other languages are too limited to give expression to the higher truths, the higher consciousness. So if we are moving towards a greater, higher, transformed consciousness which can impact, and in that sense, Bharat becomes the Vishwa Guru. Not that we have a great market value. In that sense, in the transformation of consciousness, that bhumatva, this is the message of the Rishi Parampara. So with this, I will end my keynote speech. And we will wait for the next 2 days and then see various kinds of workshops. But please take a sankalpa that every day add some Sanskrit to your life. Forget about any kind of meanness and see what it does to your life. If you really want to live a life of purpose, a life of happiness, Sanskritam is a powerful tool. This is the message which I wanted to give. Dhanyavad.
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद संपदानंद जी। कहीं पे मुझे भी सही नहीं लगा आपका परिचय किसी विदेशी भाषा में देने का, लेकिन मेरा दुर्भाग्य है कि मुझे संस्कृत इतनी अच्छी तरह नहीं आती और मेरी तमिल बहुत कमज़ोर है, ना तमिल कति करें। In terms of Auroville's official languages, that only left me with English. But thank you so much for bringing out with so much simplicity and sincerity, the importance and relevance of Sanskrit. And the thing I loved most, actually, one of Sri Aurobindo's principles of true teaching is from the near to the far. And Sampadanandji showed how close Sanskrit is to us. We can start with our names. And it's that close, and we can start there, and then everything else is available to us. Bahut bahut dhanyawad. One more round of applause for Sampadanandji. Yeah. And I would like to ask Secretary Ma'am to honor Sampadanandji with a token of our gratitude. And for our students from the Gurukul, I would like to invite Secretary Ma'am and Sampadanandji to honor them with a little gift from our side. And Acharya ji, please join us on stage. Swamiji, Acharya ji, please join us on stage.
हम आचार्य जी से आग्रह करते हैं कि अपने आशीर्वचन से थोड़ा हमें प्रभावित करें।
कुछ ठंडा ठंडा वातावरण चल रहा है, मैंने कहा थोड़ा गरम गरम करें, है ना। मैं वैदिक विद्या केंद्र से आ रहा हूँ, कालापेट वैदिक विद्या केंद्र। यत्र इमे सर्वे ब्रह्मचारिणः वेदं पठन्ति भारतस्य विविधेभ्यः भागेभ्यः इमे सर्वे अत्र आगताः। ते सर्वं संस्कृत भाषायां वदन्ति, संस्कृते गीतानि गायन्ति। 50 वर्षेभ्यः पूर्वम् अहं संस्कृतं पठामि स्म। तत् अहम् एतमेव महाभागं पश्यामि यत् इण्डिया न कथयति, भारतं कथयति। भारतं कथयति, एतत् संस्कृतस्य प्रसादः। तर्हि भारतस्य विषये एकं गीतं गातुम् इच्छन्ति भवन्तः सर्वे? भारतं भारतं भवतु भारतम्, अत्र पश्यन्तु कन्यकाः सर्वे, मम आमनगमनं करणीयं। भारतं भारतं भवतु भारतम्, कर्मनैष्ठिकं धर्मनैष्ठिकं, कर्म धर्मनैष्ठिकं भवतु भारतम्, भारतं भारतं भवतु भारतम्, शस्त्रधारकं शास्त्रधारकं, शस्त्रशास्त्रधारकं भवतु भारतम्, भारतं भारतं भवतु भारतम्, भुक्ति साधकम मुक्ति साधकम भुक्ति मुक्ति साधकम भवतु भारतम 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 भवतु भारतम। ये मत समझना कि संस्कृत भाषा केवल शास्त्रों की वेदों की ही भाषा है। इसमें गाया भी जा सकता है, खेला भी जा सकता है, खेला भी जा सकता है। बॉल पर भी गीत हो सकता है। आर यू रेडी टू सिंग द सॉन्ग आफ्टर बॉल? एक 50 वर्ष पहले एक पिताजी थे, वो अपनी कन्या को रोज प्रातः संस्कृत पढ़ाते थे। एक बार वो दिल्ली गए तो वहां से एक बॉल लाया। वो कन्या संस्कृत कहाँ पढ़ने वाली थी, वो तो बॉल खेलना चाहती है। तो पिताजी ने सोचा बॉल और गेंद, बॉल और वो कन्या दोनों का इकट्ठा हो जाए, तो उन्होंने गीत रचना की थी ठीक 50 वर्ष पहले। मेरे पीछे बोलिए, कंदुकः कंदुकः कंदुको धावति। She was just like you, and she wanted to play, and the father wanted her to learn Sanskrit, and she wanted to play the ball. So the song was written on this ball. Kandukah kandukah kanduko dhavati. स्थले क्वचित् जले क्वचित् गृहे क्वचित् बहिर् क्वचित् गृहे क्वचित् बहिर् क्वचित् इतः क्वचित् ततः क्वचित् कुतः क्वचित् कुतः क्वचित् इतः क्वचित् ततः क्वचित् कुतः। कंदुकः कंदुकः कंदुको धावति दिल्लीतः आनीतः ममानुराग रंजितः रक्तवर्णचुंबितः हस्तपादताडितः बालकैरभीप्सितः। ममानुराग रंजितः रक्तवर्णचुंबितः हस्तपादताडितः बालकैरभीप्सितः। कंदुकः कंदुकः कंदुको धावति दिल्लीतः आ। 50 वर्षेभ्यः पूर्वं गीतम् एतद्रचितम् आसीत्। अन्तिमः परिच्छेदः बालबालिका वयं बालसैनिका वयं बालबालिका वयं बालसैनिका वयं बालक्रीडका वयं स्वदेशरक्षका वयं बालसैनिका वयं स्वदेशरक्षका। बोलो कंदुकः कंदुकः कंदुको धावति दिल्लीतः आ। I lived in many countries, but without Sanskrit Bhasha and without Ved, no astitva whatsoever. I used to conduct the wedding ceremonies and people used to come to me, oh, such a beautiful wedding ceremony. You were so good. I said, I'm not good. And the Vedas are good. They are giving the beauty of the family life. So all go each to the Vedas. Om Nam. मैंने सोचा कुछ ठंडा ठंडा हो रहा है, कुछ गर्मी पैदा कर रहा
है। धन्यवाद आचार्य जी, आपने अपने उत्साह से हम सबको काफ़ी उत्साहित कर दिया। शुक्रिया। हम एक छोटा सा ब्रेक लेंगे। We'll take a short break for tea. Before we take that break, I would like to introduce the third person we have here on stage. Many of you might recognize him. For those of you who don't, I would like to introduce a remarkable voice in the contemporary Sanskrit movement, someone dedicated to making Sanskrit a living force in the lives of millions of people. Uday Shreyas. Uday Shreyas is a Sanskrit educator, digital content creator, and founder of the Sanskrit Channel, a platform you can find on YouTube that has brought the beauty and depth of Sanskrit to millions of learners worldwide. He is living proof that Sanskrit is not a language of the past, but a language of the future. The Sanskrit Channel on YouTube now has over 1,400 videos and serves more than 13 lakh subscribers, all discovering the wonder of this sacred language. And after the tea break, he will be offering. Sure. Yeah. So I would invite him to introduce his session after the break.
Shubhodayam. 15 minutes for Udayam. Shubhodayam. Shubhodayam. Namo Namaha. Aham Kinchit Vadami Bhavantaha Anuvadantu Mandakini Javana Bhindana Mandakini Javana Bhindana Unurvati Mandakini Javana Bhindana Vacham Aravinda Anana Dishatu Me Aravinda Anana Dishatu Me Aravindanana Dishatu Me. How many of you can say the whole thing now together? எல்லாம் சேர்த்து யார் சொல்ல முடியும் இப்போ? மந்தாகினி ஜவன பிந்தான வாச்ச மரவிந்தானனா திஷத்து மே. இதில் ஒரு ரிதம் கூட இருக்கு. There is a beautiful rhythm in this line. மந்தாகினி ஜவன பிந்தான வாச்ச மரவிந்தானனா திஷத்து மே ன்னு சொல்றதுல the whole sentence flows in a rhythm. We'll look at all of that after the break, so do not take too much time. Okay? How many of you will take too much time? Nobody. Thank you. Astu. Pashyamaha. Punarmilamaha. Namo Namaha.